Hi everyone, Janie here. Welcome back to my garden. I've got Jason on the camera today.
Hi everybody.
And we are doing our February front garden tour. I was gonna say January, but no, it's a February front garden tour. And it's so funny because Jason and I, we've been inside working indoors all day, and we've had people here working all day today on the gazebo, and we were so afraid we weren't going to be able to get out here before the sunset because they have been working so hard, and we're really excited to show you guys what's been going on. First of all, I got to let Monty out because he's barking and he wants to join us. Okay.
Hi Monty.
Hi Monty. Okay, so let's get started. We'll get started with the zigzag planter since we're already up here. It didn't really work this year, I have to say. I normally plant daffodils in the zigzag planter, and in my last house we had a front swoop and I would always plant daffodils in. And the last couple years I've been planting blends from colorblends.com. And this year I thought, okay, I'm not gonna do a blend this year. I'm just gonna go back to the basics and not worry about it and just plant these Dutch Master daffodils. I have to say, they're not as good as the color blends. Daffodil blends. You can see that they're kind of sporadically blooming. I think we had a weird year anyway when it came to bulbs. I'll show you kind of the rest throughout the front garden. But you can see the display is just, it's just so-so. It's not that good. I've got some places where they're not even up yet. Some of them are already fading out. So I'm a little disappointed in this daffodil show because it's one of my favorite things to have the daffodils blooming. Hold on, we got a plane. Do you want to show the...
Oh.
Do you want... Skydivers?
Skydivers. Can you see?
So we live pretty close to an airport, just like a small kind of country airport, but they run a skydiving place out of it. And so every once in a while we get all these skydivers, and if you're really quiet, you can hear them start screaming, going, "Woo!" It's the funniest thing.
It's actually kind of fun to listen to.
It's really, really funny. It's really interesting. And so that was a skydiving plane that just drove by. We recognize the skydiving plane now. So anyway, as for the daffodils, they were just kind of, they're just okay. I'm like kind of annoyed with them and ready to take them out. And luckily we are getting a delivery, I think tomorrow, of our annuals from Proven Winners, which is so, I mean, I can't believe it. It's so soon. This year we're actually having Premier Color out of San Diego. I went and I visited them last year. They are actually growing my flowers this year. I work with Proven Winners, which is a plant company. They have the most wonderful annuals, and normally the Midwest and actually New Hampshire is where they grow those flowers for, that I plant in my garden. But this year they're getting grown in California, which I'm really excited about. So I might just, well, I don't know, cut these back, kind of fold them over so that we can use the bulbs again next year. But I might just want to plant my annuals just really, really quick. So Jason just said, looking from here, it looks pretty. It looks prettier. I know, but do you remember what it looked like last year with the color blends mix? It looked gorgeous last year.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just a bad year. It's just a bad year for the daffodils.
They came up with they didn't come up together.
They didn't, yeah.
Yeah, it was all sporadic.
Yeah, it was really tough. So this is the big thing that happened.
This is the big deal.
I haven't even looked at this.
It's all brand new.
Yeah.
It's all still wet cement.
Yeah, so this is where our gazebo is going to go. We're getting a gazebo, just like a prefab gazebo, and we're going to put it up on a platform. How would you say it?
A deck, basically. It's going to be a platform deck. It's going to look like a mound. It's going to look like the earth is actually raised in this area because we're going to mound up the earth around to the deck. But just structurally, we're raising up a deck. And so that's what they're working on right here. And you can see they just poured the legs. Footings.
What is it?
Footings.
The footings. They just poured all the footings, or at least 5 of the 9 of them. So basically our gazebo is an octagon shape, and we're going to have 2 big steps come up here, and then the gazebo is going to be right over there.
Show that again. I wasn't looking at it.
Oh, I'm sorry. 2 big steps right here and right here. So we'll be able to step up, and then we'll be about this high off the ground, and then be able to kind of look out at everything, which I think will be really, really pretty. So I have no idea how long it's going to take them to do this. They've been a little bit delayed with
it's been wet.
Yeah, just with the rain and everything like that. But you can see they've got the lumber delivered for the bottom of the deck and all that kind of stuff. And we're really, really excited about it because it's going to completely change.
Once we get that done, and now, the propane tank is gone, and we can get this done, and then the pathway done, then we're like good. Then
I know.
Then we'd have to just spread a little bit of mulch and make it look pretty and plant some stuff.
Planting time, right? So it's so funny. Before I film any garden tour, I go back and I look at last month's garden tour just to kind of see what things look like and what has changed. And Jason, I was looking back at January's tour and I was like, whoa, everything's kind of changed.
It's so funny.
So we got our propane tank removed, which was a really big thing. We had this big propane tank over here. And actually, let me take you guys over there and show you. So we had a giant propane tank right over here, and we finally got it removed. We've actually converted our whole property to where we're just completely electrical now at this point. And we're not using propane at all, which is kind of a bummer because I liked having a gas stove to cook with. But now we have
we have induction, which I actually like a lot.
I actually really like it too. It boils a pot of water in like a minute.
It's amazing.
It's incredible. It's really cool. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but I really, really am liking it. Plus, we were able to get rid of the stupid propane tank.
It's so nice not having it there. I mean, it was, if you guys remember, it was like right there. And it took up it was like, what, 8 feet long or something like that?
Yeah.
And so,
And we kept going back and forth on, if we were going to kind of hide it somewhere or like build something around it or put plants around it. And then finally we realized the cheapest and most effective, rather than moving it or burying it somewhere, was actually just to remove it. So we're really glad we did. And we've been living without it for almost a month now. And it's going really well. I do have to show you this disaster over here. I don't know if you guys have noticed behind me, we used to have a bird bath right here. And this is the door. What do you say?
The cover for the access to the septic tank.
Yeah. So this is kind of an important piece, right?
We don't want people driving over it and breaking the cover.
Yeah.
So,
and the silliest thing is just the way that they put it. They like pushed out the driveway, so it doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah. So nobody knows, once you're in the car and you can't see that little jutted out area.
Yeah.
People constantly want to drive over. So we have to have something there to block people from driving.
So one person hit it first.
One person hit the bird bath like a couple weeks ago.
Broke the top
of it.
And we're like, oh, it's okay, no big deal, it'll be fine.
And then one of the guys today,
who was doing the patio for the gazebo, he just did this.
Like 20 minutes ago.
So we have to figure out something to do to make this like a little bit more aware
I think it needs a tall, like one of those tutors that you made or something like that.
Yeah.
It's just obvious that you can't miss it. It's got to be high enough that somebody in a big truck sees it.
Yeah, exactly. It's such a hard thing. Actually, your friend Michelle said that you can get a cover that's drivable. You can drive over it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So maybe we might want to look into something like that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that concrete would just break, and that would be very
bad. Yeah. So anyway, so that's what that is. And it's the type of thing that we keep, like we used to have an orange cone even right here when we first moved into the house.
But that didn't work either because it's not tall enough. It's got to be tall.
People ran over the cone.
Yeah.
Too. So I think I'm going to have to, I think you're right. At least for now, I'll make it to tour or something like that.
Even if it's just temporary and then...
Yeah. It's just so funny because I know this is in the back of my videos and I'm like, I know there's half of a bird bath there. And now there's not even a bird bath. So. Anyway, so come on over here. Let me show you the dry creek bed, which is so fantastic. This was one of the main things. Oh, look what else happened.
What? Oh, look. Shoot.
Our driveway is falling apart, basically.
Yep.
We need to replace it. But we've decided not to completely replace the driveway until we finish all the big projects. Because you can see what happens. These big trucks come in and they just knock things over.
And now there's no support with all the rocks gone. There's nothing for that to push against. So that's part of the problem. It kind of falls off the edge now.
Yeah.
So we need to really pack some more dirt in there to make
shore it up or something like that.
But
yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of people say all the time, take out your driveway. You have too much asphalt, totally get that, but we constantly have so many cars here, and we have 2 kids who have a lot of friends, that we've decided that we just want to leave the driveway for now, right?
For quite a while.
For quite a while, just because we live on a busy street where there's no parking. So the only parking is what we can provide for people in here. So we're definitely going to leave the big driveway, and we will refinish it, however you say that. But once we finish all the really big projects.
It's just going to be, it doesn't make any sense to resurface it now when we've got all these big trucks driving over it and just going to cause more cracks anyway.
And that was Michael Glassman's suggestion.
Yeah, he said do it very last.
So he said that was the very last thing that we were going to do after everything. So that's the very last thing we're going to do. So we're going to have cracked driveway for a while, which is okay. No big deal. So over here, this is one of the things that we got installed last month, which is really, really fun. And this is the dry creek bed. And a dry creek bed is supposed to look like kind of a natural riverbed that was created there, but the real purpose of it is to have a place where all the rainwater can soak into and then slowly percolate down into the ground. So in the center island, especially over here on this side, this is our leach field for our septic system. And that means that the drainage is really, really terrible. It's really bad drainage. And so having a dry creek bed here is not only beautiful, but it's super, super functional to have. And we've already had a bunch of rainstorms having it in, and I could see all the rainwater drained right into the dry creek bed and sat there as it was draining back into the soil, which is exactly what we wanted. So it's just so nice. My favorite way to look at it, Jason, if you come over here, is this way. And then you can imagine right behind it, you have the gazebo, and we're going to have the pathway, a whole bunch of flowers planted up. And over here on the left side of the dry creek bed, I'm going to be planting what's called California native no-mow lawn. So it's a longer lawn that you can leave like, you can leave it like 12 inches long, and it kind of folds over itself. But the important thing is that if it gets really hot or really dry, it's not going to die. And so it's not something that we have to install sprinklers or anything like that. To keep it green, I'll probably water it a couple times a week or something. But it's a lot better than just a regular lawn, because we do have a well, and I don't want to be wasting all of my well water on sprinklers and watering just a normal lawn. Okay, so coming over this way, I want to show you guys the pathway that we're working on. So this is not the last part of our decomposed granite pathway, but it is the part inside the center island. And the guys have started working on this. They've already put down the aggregate base, which is a couple inches of aggregate base. Aggregate base is kind of like a mixture of different sizes of rocks. And so basically once it gets wet, it kind of sticks together like glue, and it prevents cracking, which is really great. And then on top of this, we'll put a couple inches of decomposed granite and line it with this metal edging from Edgerite. That's what we have in the rest of our property. So that should be done, I don't know, in like a week or so. And then we're working on spreading all these wood chips. And this is arborist wood chips that we just get for free from getchipdrop.com. They work great because they're helping replenish our soil. I've talked about this many times. They help this with the combination of compost that's underneath it is what I'm using to fix the soil and get it as good as I possibly can. Once we're completely done with the property, we will probably change to something like a nicer mulch that doesn't break down as quickly as this mulch does. But I can't see that happening anytime soon, because we're doing so much digging and so much renovation of the garden at this point that this is functionally definitely the way to go. So you can see our giant pile behind us that was, free wood chips, which is really, really nice. Okay, and then coming over this way, here's our willow tree garden bed. We're not going to address this garden bed too much this year, I don't think. Look, you can see this is falling. You can really see this is falling apart.
Oh, yeah.
Look at this.
Yep.
So that's pretty much what our whole house is like. It's kind of just falling apart. We have to slowly redo it. So eventually this raised bed will go away. I'm actually going to plant it up with annuals this year, I think. But we will eventually be taking this out. The plan is to finish the center island this year. Only focus on the center island. That's our main focus. And then next year we'll focus on this willow tree garden bed over here. What did you find? Did you find some fun stuff? Yes. Okay, so coming over into the orchard garden. The orchard garden structurally, why am I having such a hard time saying that word? Structurally. Anyway. Foundationally,
there you go.
The orchard garden is pretty much set. We have all the pathways in, we have all the drip in, like everything's pretty much how it's going to be. It's just this year I'm just going to plant it up a little bit differently, which I'm really excited about. It's, you know, it's going to look very similar to what it looked like last year, but I'm just going to be adding more plants to it. Coming over here, you can see I still have this mangave here. I put this mangave here thinking I was going to do a mangave garden. A lot of you guys had the idea of putting the mangave over by the dry creek bed, which I think is a fabulous idea, and I think I probably will do that. But they're perfectly happy here for now, so I'm just leaving them. And then coming over here, I did cut back everything in this garden bed, which was really nice because it definitely needed it. And then we also did mulch it up, which it definitely needed some mulch. This was the first garden bed that I really worked on since we moved into this property. And so it was basically the oldest one that I mulched and everything like that. So it definitely needed to be replenished. So I'm glad that we got some of the mulch down on there. You can see that over there, our lime tree and our lemon tree, they are dropping oranges like crazy. I know you can't tell, but we've actually picked them up quite a lot.
Yeah.
And when they drop them, it just means that they're ready. So we're working on eating them and having fresh squeezed orange juice and all that kind of stuff. But last year we had so many oranges that we ended up having to donate so many of them. And even the guy who helped us pick all of them, he had a truck and he filled his truck with all of our oranges, and then we were still able to donate more after that. So it's just the type of thing that we just have so many oranges we can't stay on top of it, which is a great thing to have. And I know a lot of you, it's so funny because a lot of people are like, just put a box out and put a free sign and your neighbors will come get it. All my neighbors have orange trees.
Yeah. Everybody has oranges.
Everybody has orange trees around here, and so it's just the type of thing that's like, well, we'll try, we'll try and figure something else.
Anybody who comes over, like Shay's friend's dad was here yesterday. I was like, hey, you want some oranges? He's like, no, I do not.
I know. It's the funniest thing. It's so funny. So then coming this way, I want to show you guys my purple lilac vine. It's so beautiful. I haven't filmed my February garden tour, or not February blooming garden yet. So every month I do a video about something that's blooming that particular month. And this was the one I planted in February, and it is just...
This thing's amazing.
How beautiful is this plant, right?
Yeah.
It is just the most beautiful, beautiful plant. I'm so happy with it, and I actually got a white one to kind of match it, but it is just, oh my goodness. Then I also did plant some hellebores next to it, and the hellebores are absolutely gorgeous as well, but they pale in comparison to the purple lilac vine. They're just, I just love this plant just so much. I was talking to Jason the other day saying how it's kind of hard to see because it's kind of in the shade of these two orange trees on purpose, right? And I wish that I could put it in a more, predominant space, but I think that it's just such a perfect spot for it to be growing, just like the hydrangea I've planted here. I just think it's such a great spot where it just gets a little bit of sun and then it's pretty much shaded from the most intense sun throughout the day. So I just love this plant. It is just such a beautiful plant. This time of year, it's just amazing. All right, and then headed over here, there's not much to show. That's one thing that definitely changed this month versus last month. Last month, I still had a whole bunch of plants up and blooming, and a lot of them that I've just cut back, and we're kind of in that lull between when things are going to start to grow and cutting things back. So our last frost this year is a week earlier than it normally is. Well, a couple days earlier, I should say. Our last frost this year is actually February 25th, and so that's next week, which is just crazy. So that means that all of these plants are going to start growing and be really, really beautiful in absolutely no time because we're going to warm up. I was looking at our lows, and our lows are getting up into the high 40s, which is just
I saw that too. That's crazy. I can't believe it's already that. There's a high of like 69 coming up, which is crazy.
I know.
Yeah.
So the other day when it was raining, I I fertilized my citrus trees, and I did it when it was raining just to make sure that Monty wouldn't notice. Hopefully the rain would kind of wash it away, because usually the citrus fertilizer Monty's super attracted to and tries to eat. He has not touched. This is my Eureka lemon tree, and I put an entire 4-pound bag of citrus fertilizer on it. And I was kind of watching to see if he would, you know, mess with it after the rain. He has not touched it, right? Have you seen him sniffing around at all?
Nope, not at all.
Not at all. So yeah, that worked really well. I'm like, I feel like he's gonna hear me, and I'm gonna jinx myself. So we got this whole area mulched up as well with a couple inches of mulch, which is great. There's some Russian sage in here that I've cut back. This is a euphorbia, which is looking really, really beautiful right now. I'm surprised at how good it looks. I planted some other plants over here, some Pride of Madeira plants, and I think because it's underneath a black walnut tree, it really suffered. But this euphorbia was completely fine, and it's perfectly happy, and it's going to get really, really big in that spot. So I'm really excited to have that plant, because obviously it's an evergreen plant. We got the fountain. I'll show you guys the shade garden in the backyard video, but we got the fountain going. And I told Jason I want to just leave it on, and I have to say, just the sound of that water is so beautiful. I was over working at the long border, and I could hear the water, and it just makes me think, like, I want so much more water sound in this garden, just to kind of mask out the road sound and the airport sound and everything like that, right?
Yeah. No, it sounds nice, and if we get some kind of a water feature or something by the gazebo, that'll be cool.
Yeah, I want like the loudest water feature you could possibly have. I really want that. Okay, and then coming here, this is my espalier, my star jasmine espalier. I cannot believe how fast it's grown. This is the fastest espalier I've had grown, which is crazy because I thought star jasmine was going to take a really long time, but it's obviously super happy in this spot. It's almost complete, right? And
yeah, it's very close.
Even when I did the English ivy, which you all know how fast English ivy grows at my last house, that still took 2 years, solid years.
It took longer than this.
Right?
Yeah.
And this is almost done, and by, by this fall, it'll be 2 years.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And so it hasn't even started growing this year, so I'm super happy with it. I think it's just a really great spot. This is east facing, so it gets east sun, and then it gets protected with the hot afternoon sun. Oh, let me can you zoom in on these beautiful things?
Oh.
Right?
Oh yeah, I didn't even notice that.
Didn't?
No.
Oh, this is so pretty. I love them. Okay, so this is Clematis armandii. I talk about this all the time. It's evergreen clematis. It blooms right around this time. These are new baby plants, but pretty soon this whole plant is going to be covering this wall, and I'm going to have these beautiful blooms all over it this time of year, which is just, I can imagine how beautiful it's going to be and how good it's going to smell, and I'm just really excited about it. So actually just yesterday I cut back and kind of cleaned up everything in this long border. It's so funny because I haven't really had a strict plan for what I plant in this long border, and I've kind of just randomly been planting things in. But I have to say, seeing it and seeing what I have planted and how everything's going to start growing in, I'm really excited because it's the exact look that I was going for in this border, which is just kind of like a mix of color and shapes and sizes of plants, it's just exactly what I wanted. And so cutting it back, I think, was really great. A lot of plants needed that because this year I actually didn't do any fall cutback, absolutely any fall cutback. So everything needed a good cutback, and I think it's really happy and everything's growing really, really well. Oh, one thing I think, Jason, come over here. I wanted to show you, to finish off our tour, our very first apricot bloom. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Signaling the start of spring. So hopefully we'll get a lot more apricots from this tree this year. I took good care of it, and I think I did a really good job pruning it, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, the pruning looks awesome.
Yeah, I'm super happy with it. So anyway, that's it. Stay tuned for tomorrow for our back garden tour. We're getting so much stuff done. It's one of the reasons why I absolutely love these garden tours, is because it really keeps me on track as to what we got done in the past month, and just checking back and seeing what what happened from my last garden, my January garden tour to my February garden tour, it's like, holy cow, we've been busy, right?
Yeah, no.
Don't you feel that way?
Totally, yeah.
Yeah.
Just the idea that the propane tank was in the January tour, I totally forgot.
I think it was the day after that January tour. I think
oh, you know what? I think you're right. I do remember that.
Yeah,
that's right.
So it seems like a really long time ago, but I'm pretty sure it was the day after, because I remember talking about it in that tour, saying I was just waiting for them to show up and remove it. And there they did. So really exciting. Oh, I'm sorry. I know I said that was the last thing, but tulips, these are hands down my absolute favorite tulips. These are called Big Love tulips. I actually got them at Costco, you know, when Costco has the big bags for sale. And I always look around for the Big Love ones. And that is because they are the most beautiful, like pink apricot color. They're just such a fabulous, gorgeous color. And the sad thing is for us, for tulips, we don't get cold enough. Tulips won't rebloom next year. And so these are basically like annuals. So I'm going to pull these out after they're done and toss them, which is such a bummer. We don't have to do that with daffodils. Daffodils will keep naturalizing and keep blooming. But I do have to say, if any of you that don't live near me and don't go to my Costco find Big Love tulips, you should grab them, because I'll be grabbing all the ones at my Costco. So anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this. Stay tuned tomorrow for a back garden tour, and I hope you all have a chance to get in your garden today.